Hey, it's David Breslow back here with you. I am the founder of Performance Success Strategies and the author of the book Wired to Win and creator of the product called Wired to Win. Please stay tuned for my next mental golf coaching tip. In today's tip, I want to talk to you about off-course preparation. You know, it's funny, over the years I've talked to a lot of golfers who, when they even think about working on what's called, quote unquote, the mental game, they kind of do it pretty briefly, or maybe the night before or the morning of a round of golf. And then they go out on the golf course and they don't understand why it didn't really help all that much. Well, think about it. If you're really only just diving into it a little bit, you're basically in the shallow end, and you're really not doing much with it. How can you expect to get any benefit from it doing it that way? So today, I want to talk to you about a couple things you can do away from the golf course. So it doesn't matter if you're in a warm weather climate or a cold weather climate, you can apply what you're going to hear today either way. First thing I'd like you to do is what I call broad scan, narrow scan. So I'm going to ask you to take a picture. Take any picture in your home, in your office, doesn't matter where it is. It could be a large photograph hanging on the wall, or it could be a large or a small photograph that you can hold in your hand. So let's use an example of a small photograph, a family picture, maybe something from over the holidays. Okay, so first look at it from a broad scan perspective. If there's 5 people in the picture, look at everybody in the picture. Look at the background. Look at everything going on in the picture from a broad perspective, and do that for about 15 seconds. And then after 15 seconds, I want you to narrow in and hone in on one small detail. Let's say somebody in your photograph is wearing a belt and they have a belt buckle. I'd like you to bring your attention and narrow it down to that belt buckle and nothing else. And do that for 15 seconds. And then after that 15 seconds, bring back your scan to the larger area again. And so you're going to go back and forth from the broad scan to the narrow scan, and you'll do this for about 3 minutes. 3 minutes is all you need. Broad scan, narrow scan, broad scan, narrow scan. Okay? And why am I asking you to do this? Because this is exactly the kind of mental training you want to be able to do automatically on the golf course. So, for example, when you're at the first tee or at any tee, you have broad scan. You're looking over the terrain, you're looking over the landscape, you're looking at the trees, you're looking at where there might be traps, where there might be water, where the fairway is, how it's moving, how it's bending, how it's twisting. That is broad scan. And then when you want to start picking targets, let's say now you're in the middle of the fairway and you're shooting toward the green. Now you're going to pick more specific targets. Now your brain has been trained by this exercise I just gave you to start narrowing in more easily. You won't have to struggle. You won't have to stress out. You're training your brain away from the golf course to go broad and go narrow, go broad, go narrow. So when you're in any position on the course itself, or even at the driving range, when you want to pick out narrow targets, a flag, a piece of dirt, a piece of land, whatever your target area is, your mind now has the ability to go broad, look at the whole picture, and then go narrow and really focus on that strip of land or that pin or that spot on the ground that you're shooting for. So that's called broad scan, narrow scan. That's away from the golf course. You can do this at home. You can do this at the office. Don't do it in the car, okay? At home, at the office, in the garage, in the backyard, doesn't matter. Broad scan, narrow scan. Just get yourself a photograph of any kind, broad scan it, and then pick a detailed, and I mean detailed, focus point, narrow scan on that, and just let your mind practice. It's just like a rubber band. You're making it go wide, and then you're bringing it in. You're making it go, stretching it out, and then letting it go back in. Stretching it out, letting it go back in. It's a terrific exercise to build that mental flexibility away from the golf course. Okay? The second thing I'm going to ask you to do is, now when you're going to the golf course, or when you're actually before you go to the golf course, I'd like you to imagine 2 things. I'd like you to imagine what you're going to do at the warm-up range if you have time to do that, I'd like you to imagine how you're going to hit the ball at the range as you prepare to play your round of golf. And then I'm going to ask you to imagine who you are and what you're going to do at the first tee, not the entire round of golf. Of course, you're welcome to do that if you want. A lot of great players do that all the time, but I'm just talking about the warming up and the first tee for the moment. So when you imagine yourself at the practice range, I'd like you to imagine what it is you're going to do. Are you going to be smooth? Are you going to flow? Are you going to swing smoothly at the ball? Are you going to see yourself hitting your targets? Are you going to see yourself feeling good about your swing? I would suggest that personally. I would ask you to focus on the feeling. Anybody who's heard me before knows that I'm big on focusing on the feeling, not the results. Focus on the feeling in your body when you're at the warm-up range. How does it feel? What's the feeling you're shooting for? Recreate that feeling right in your chair or in your bed. I don't care where you are. You can recreate that feeling anytime you want. And then when you get to the range, all of a sudden your body's been trained to reproduce that feeling again, and it will. And so the second part of this is create that image of yourself at the first tee. Get your round started exactly the way you imagine it to be. Imagine yourself taking that great feeling you just created for the warm-up and walking up to the first tee feeling just that way. Putting the tee in the ground, putting the ball on the tee, and taking a beautiful swing for you, whatever that is, taking a beautiful swing and imagining the ball going exactly where you want it to go. Okay, this is not about stress. This is not about pressure. This is about literally recreating using the power of your mind, which most people really have no idea how that really works. I'm just giving you a little exercise so you can get a taste of this, because your mind is so strong. Your powers to imagine is so great that you can literally use your imagination to train your body to do exactly what you're imagining. And you will be very pleasantly surprised. If you practice this enough, you will be very pleasantly surprised at how you actually create and live that actual experience. And then you kind of look around and go, wow, how'd that happen? Well, it happened because you imagined it without any interference or any editing or any negativity or anything like that. Just allow yourself to imagine it without any obstacles. So those are the two things I'm going to ask you to consider doing in today's mental golf training tip. Now, if you enjoyed what you heard today, if you want to know a little bit more about me, and of course, as I always ask everybody, apply it, apply it, apply it. Don't just think about it, but apply it. So if you enjoyed what you heard today, you want to learn a little bit more about me and the Wired to Win approach, please visit www.mentalgolfcoaching.com. So Dave Breslow, great to be with you, and I look forward to talking to you next time. Take care.